arrogant boxer forced a young black Jamaican woman to fight to humiliate her. Then the unthinkable happened. "Look what we have here," Victoria Sterling sneered, pointing to the 18-year-old who had just walked into the elite Manhattan gym. "Looks like someone got lost on the way to the neighborhood gym." The sound of punches hitting the heavy bag stopped abruptly. All eyes turned to Keisha Campbell, who was holding a worn sports bag and wearing holey sneakers. Her dark skin contrasted with the immaculate whiteness of the exclusive environment, where monthly fees cost more than 3 months' minimum wage. Victoria Sterling, women's world boxing champion for 2 consecutive years, was known not only for her lethal fists, but for her even sharper tongue. At 26, she had built a career based on social media taunts and controversial statements that generated millions of views. Her latest Instagram post already had 500,000 likes, a photo of her flexing her muscles with the caption, "When you're naturally superior, you don't have to pretend to be equal." "Sorry," Keisha muttered, checking the address on her cracked cell phone. "I thought this was the youth scholarship program." Victoria's laughter echoed through the gym like an annoying siren. "Scholarship program? Honey, this isn't a social project. We train real athletes here, not social experiments." Keisha Campbell had arrived in the United States just 6 months ago, bringing with her the dreams of a Jamaican family who had saved every penny to give her a chance. She worked 16 hours a day, cleaning offices to pay for a room she shared with 3 other people in the Bronx. The scholarship program was her only chance to train at a decent facility. "The program exists," said a firm voice. Tom Rodriguez, veteran trainer and owner of the gym, emerged from his office with a folder in his hand. "And Keisha Campbell is on the approved list." Victoria rolled her eyes dramatically. "Really, Tom? Are you going to turn my training facility into an NGO? My sponsors won't like that at all." "Her sponsors pay for results, not for her opinion about who trains here," Tom replied dryly. But Victoria wasn't finished. She approached Keisha with a smile that looked more like a threat. "You know what? Since you want to train with the big boys so badly, how about we prove whether you really deserve to be here?" The gym fell silent. Everyone knew what was coming next. "A friendly spar," Victoria continued, savoring every word. "You against me, 3 rounds. If you can last, you can stay. If not—" She made a dismissive gesture with her hand. Keisha felt the weight of everyone's gaze. She knew this was a trap, a public humiliation designed to break her spirit before she even began. But there was something in her eyes, a flame that Victoria couldn't quite identify, that remained unshaken. "I accept," Keisha said calmly. Victoria frowned, waiting for tears or pleas. "Are you sure? Because when I'm done with you, you'll question whether it's worth dreaming so big." "I'm sure," Keisha repeated, and for the first time since she had arrived, she smiled. What Victoria Sterling didn't know and could never have imagined was that she was about to find out why. In the slums of Kingston, Jamaica, Keisha Campbell was known by a very specific nickname: Lightning. And like all lightning, she only showed her true power when the storm hit. While Victoria was already planning how to turn the humiliation into viral content for her social media, Tom Rodriguez watched the determined gleam in Keisha's eyes and felt a familiar chill, the same one he felt when he recognized a truly special talent, disguised as apparent vulnerability. If this story of prejudice and determination is moving you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Because what happened in those 3 rounds was so unexpected that even today people wonder how an ordinary young woman from the Bronx managed to rewrite the rules of a sport dominated by the elite. News of the friendly fight spread through the gym like wildfire. In less than an hour, several boxers, trainers, and even some sports journalists were on their way. Victoria Sterling versus an unknown Jamaican. It promised to be the kind of cruel entertainment that social media loved to consume. 3 rounds, 16-ounce gloves. Tom Rodriguez established, trying to downplay the impending massacre. No bets, no live broadcast, just sparring. Victoria laughed. Tom, relax. It'll be quick. It probably won't even make it to the second round. She was already recording stories on Instagram, narrating for her 2 million followers. Guys, you won't believe what's happening here. Some random girl wants to challenge me. I'm going to teach her a lesson in humility she'll never forget. The comments started pouring in. Destroy her, Victoria. These people need to know their place. Show them why you're the queen. While Victoria bathed in the attention, Keisha silently made her way to the locker room. Her hands weren't shaking. They never did before a fight. But her heart was racing with a mixture of controlled anger and painful memories she tried to keep buried. Tom followed her. Keisha, you don't have to do this. I know the scholarship program is important, but it's not worth getting hurt over her arrogance. I won't get hurt, Keisha replied calmly, testing the borrowed gloves. She's been world champion for 2 years. She has professional technique, knockout power, experience. And I have something she'll never have, Keisha interrupted, looking directly into the veteran trainer's eyes. Tom frowned. What would that be? Hunger. The word echoed in the modest locker room. Tom Rodriguez had trained hundreds of athletes over the course of 30 years, but he had rarely heard that word spoken with such conviction. There was something in Keisha's eyes, an intensity he had recognized only in true predators of the ring. Tell me something, Tom said, sitting down next to her. Why did you take it? Why not just ignore her taunts? Keisha closed her eyes for a moment. The memories came flooding back. The streets of Kingston, her mother's screams, begging her to stop fighting. The feel of punches connecting with surgical precision. The nickname Lightning, whispered with fear and respect in the slums. Because I've lived this story before, she finally said. People like Victoria think they can break us, with words, with contempt, with the certainty that we are inferior. But they forgot one important thing. What would that be? Those who grow up fighting for survival don't just fight for sport. They fight to exist. Tom felt a chill run down his spine. There was something prophetic in those words, as if Keisha were revealing not only her motivation, but prophesying Victoria's fate. Outside, Victoria continued her performance for the cell phone cameras. Look what that girl is wearing, she sneered, pointing to Keisha's worn-out sneakers left in the locker room. I bet she's never even stepped in a real ring. She probably learned how to box by watching YouTube videos. Laughter echoed through the gym, but some of the more experienced boxers remained silent. There was something about Keisha's posture, the way she had accepted the challenge without hesitation, that aroused an instinctive caution. Marcus Williams, a former middleweight champion, who now trained at the gym, whispered to his sparring partner, Man, I don't know. I've seen that calm before. Sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous. Victoria, however, was too far gone in her own arrogance to notice the warning signs. You know what the problem is with people from third world countries? She continued to the cameras. They confuse desperation with skill. They think that just because life is hard, they automatically know how to fight. Keisha emerged from the locker room at that very moment, wearing simple shorts and a tank top that revealed surprisingly defined arms for someone who supposedly had never trained seriously. Her movements were fluid, economical, like a cat preparing to attack. Ready to learn? Asked Victoria sarcastically. Always, Keisha replied. What Victoria Sterling didn't know and could never have imagined was that Lightning Campbell had started fighting at the age of 8 on the streets of Kingston, not for sport or fun, but because it was either that or starve. By the time she was 12, she was beating boys 3 years older than her in underground fights that earned enough money to keep her family alive for another week. By 16, she had become a local legend, not for her brutality, but for her uncanny ability to anticipate moves and counterattack with a lightning speed, hence the nickname she carried like a scar of honor. When she finally got her visa to the United States, she swore to herself she would never set foot in a ring again. But some promises are made to be broken when dignity is at stake. Tom adjusted Keisha's gloves, noticing something that surprised him. Her hands were perfectly relaxed, but her muscles had the density of someone who had trained her entire life. Keisha, can I ask you something? Sure. Have you really never fought before? Keisha smiled for the first time since she had arrived at the gym. A small, almost imperceptible smile, but one that carried secrets capable of rewriting the entire situation. Define, she replied. At that moment, while Victoria continued her performance for social media and spectators mentally betted on how long the amateur would last, something extraordinary was about to happen. Because sometimes,